What is going on, happy people? Welcome in. It is another Friday night, 11:05-ish. Calm down, Ozzy. I see your comments in the chat. It's all right. We're vaguely on time, roughly 11:05. We usually hit here on a Friday night for Smack Talk. Unfortunately, guys, no Dirty Dutch tonight. He is feeling a little bit under the weather. We hope that he gets some sleep, some much-needed sleep. He picked a couple of good shows to skip because I have a feeling he would have torn them apart anyway. But we do hope that Dutch gets better. But we got me and we got SP3, and that's all we need for this 45-minute marathon to get through both SmackDown and Rampage tonight. And SP3, I started off last week saying, you know what? All I root for is stuff to talk about. They didn't give us a whole lot to talk about between both of these shows tonight. This was 3 hours. I'm sitting here going, what's the headline? What happened? Like, is it Hit Row? Is that it? Like that's happy they're back. But if that's the headliner, that shows you the 3 hours of wrestling we just watched.
Yes, when Destiny's Child with no Beyonce, that's Hit Row with no Swerve Strickland. If they are the headline act of this show, it ain't really good as far as newsworthy things. And, no Roman Reigns on this show. Little bit of build up to Clash at the Castle, mostly the SmackDown Women's Championship. Got some build up with Ronda Rousey coming back and getting her best babyface response. We'll surely talk about that. Nothing much happened on Rampage other than a great opening with Bryan Danielson's return and a great promo exchange with Daniel Garcia. But other than that, I mean, the matches wasn't much to write home about except for setting up things for Dynamite and Rampage. So we're going to have fun, and we appreciate everyone joining us. Remember to drop the thumbs up on the video if you're watching us on YouTube. Drop a heart emoji, a laugh emoji, a like emoji, however the last 3 hours of television made you feel. Let us know with those emotes because, I mean, Hit Row came back and Sonny Kiss turned heel. Those are the big notes of the last 3 hours.
I was gonna say we finally get Sonny Kiss on TV, and her the match is all like 3.5 seconds, and then there's a heel turn at the end. I mean, all right, whatever. Ricky not a fan of Sonny Kiss's heel turn tonight, but since Dutch isn't here, all right, I don't have to play this like it's a Tarantino flick. I can just start at the beginning and go to the end here, and we'll just break down all of the shows. Feel free to get your comments in. Yes, for those who are tuning in tonight, if you missed the announcement at the top of the show, Dutch is off tonight. He is not feeling well. Hopefully he will get some much needed rest. He has been the anchor of this show. He's been on pretty much every week, unless, technical difficulties being what they are. He has been on every week, so we're going to give him the week off. SP3 and I are here until about 11:50 or so. So let's dive into this. SP3
It balances out because Dutch will probably have to be the force here for us. Well, no, you'll be here all out weekend, but I won't because I'll probably be at Rampage for all out weekend. So I'm letting people know in advance, like 3 weeks in advance. I'm probably not going to be here except for live correspondent midway through the show in 3 weeks because I'll be in Chicago for all out.
Yeah, I think I'm driving up Saturday morning, so it'll be much easier for me to do the show with Dutch on September 2nd, I do believe, is that date. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time for sure that weekend. So let's start at the top here. SP3, we dove right into a match right off the bat, this women's tag team title tournament, which I'm happy is here. I'm happy they're actually doing it. And the second I saw that bracket when it came out, I'm like, oh, okay, so we're going to have some good that they're doing it. Oh boy, the whole right side of that is a massive coin flip. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is, but we're getting Raquel and Aaliyah and Shotzi and Xia Li. This match had some moments, both good and bad. Overall, I thought this was a good showing for Raquel. I thought she got one of her better reactions that she's gotten since she came up to the main roster. I was surprised Aaliyah got as much time in the ring as she did tonight. Maybe that's just Triple H giving her an opportunity, as she's not gotten a whole lot of in-ring work under Vince McMahon's regime. So Raquel and Aaliyah come out on top here. I guess that was the right move. Continue to book Raquel up. None of this matters anyway, because Dakota Kai and Io Sky are winning this damn tournament. That seems to be pretty freaking obvious. Doesn't matter who comes out of the right side of the bracket. But this whole thing is a massive coin flip. Raquel and Aaliyah get the win tonight. What were your thoughts on it?
Okay, we'll talk about the good. The good is, Raquel Rodriguez looked strong once again after her good showing in the gauntlet match last week, getting 4 victories in a row. She got to look dominant here with the big Tada bomb on Xia Li.
Yep.
Shotzi was okay, but man, oh man, me and Dutch, we talk about this every week, but Aaliyah, I know she's been in developmental for 7-8 years, and I hate to be critical of anyone, but it just ain't up to snuff for the main roster. It just ain't. I try my best, but when she's in the majority of this matchup, I just get disconnected because it didn't really look good in the bump she took on that double team that Xia Li and Shotzi
yeah, she was early.
did. Oh man, it was really bad. So this match had some good, this match had some bad, but like you said, the SmackDown side of the bracket is not looking too good. I did like them hyping up Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark for next week. That was a cool thing to do. Basically, I would say, the spoiler alert, I think the best stuff on the show was pre-recorded. It was vignettes and video packages were the best stuff on the show, because that was one of my highlights of the show, is them hyping up Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons for next week. So I hope they win, and I hope we get a good match from Raquel, Nikita Lyons, and Zoe Stark in the next round.
So I said this on other platforms too, right? When this bracket came out, like, I was kind of hoping the story would be here that Raquel was saddled with Aaliyah, right? Like she needed a partner. This is who she got. Okay, you go stand in the corner and you be Lana, and I'm going to do my work here, and I'm going to power through this, and I'm going to get us, and you just stand there and we'll win tag team gold. That was kind of the story I was hoping that they would do with Raquel. And then they get to the finals and Aaliyah tags herself in when she ain't supposed to. And then Dakota and Io beat up Aaliyah and win the damn match, right? As a way to kind of protect Raquel. But they're still not doing anything storyline wise with Raquel. She's still coming down. She's still smiling ear to ear. It looks a little bit more natural. Like, I think tonight was just like, oh, hey, I'm getting a good reaction. So there was a genuine smile on her face. It wasn't that cheesy ear-to-ear stuff that she has been doing, where it just felt so forced. So I just want to see them do something with her. Can't remember the last time she cut a promo, other than being in this tournament, which is a nice thing to do. There's no character development. I still don't know who Raquel Rodriguez is. And there's not a lot of fans on the main roster who do know who Raquel Rodriguez is. And
I think that was the issue with this whole match in general. I don't know who any of these men are, because they haven't done a good job of explaining that. So I think that's one of the things this new regime under Triple H needs to do, is we need to establish these characters. The reason why the SmackDown Women's Division feels so weak is that we have no connection with any of them. The Raquel Rodriguez that fans grew to love in NXT ain't the smiling Raquel that comes out every week. The Shotzi Blackheart who came out on a tank and got over in NXT ain't the Shotzi that we get every week here. And the cool, fantastic Xia Li entrance that we used to get, we don't even get that we don't get that anymore. And the only thing we know about Aaliyah is that she wins matches fast and she got locked in a locker room one time. That's all we know about her.
Yeah, man. They did more tonight for Nikita and Zoe Stark than they have for any 4 of these ladies since they came up. And that's kudos to Triple H, because he knew, look, nobody else from the SmackDown audience is going to know who these ladies are. Barely anybody who watches NXT knows who these ladies are. No knock against Zoe Stark, but she's been injured for how long now at this point? Nikita, she's fairly popular on NXT. So, again, hopefully we get a good match out of them. I hate to I hate to agree with you on one thing, because it's not like I tend to be overly critical of her, but there was one point tonight where I completely just fell out of it with Aaliyah in this tag match, and it was right before the hot tag. All right. There was an opportunity for a really cool moment where Aaliyah's back in the corner. Xia Li has got her butt basically to Aaliyah, and she's on all fours. And I'm sitting here going, all right, now run, jump off of Xia Li's back and dive and tag Raquel in, and let's freaking go. Let's heat this up. Didn't do that, bypass that, and then all of a sudden, like, I forget, however it was, she like ducks underneath Xia Li, and she has got a clear path to Raquel, no problem, on her feet, and then she just drops down and starts doing the I'm like, completely took me out of it, completely took me out of the hot tag. It's just, I know that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wait until the heels tag in first, but you know what? The timing just threw everything off there. Again, this match had its moments, good and bad. I do think the right team won here, mostly because that Raquel definitely needed to get the win here. I would not be surprised, though, based off of the promo that we got tonight, or the vignette, the package that we got. I wouldn't be surprised if Nikita and Zoe Stark and make it to the finals at this point. It might be Raquel, but you could easily beat Aaliyah. That's a way to get Raquel out of there without her suffering at all.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job with Raquel, with the victories in the gauntlet, with the victory here, that she's not going to lose much if Aaliyah lets her down. And hopefully, Aaliyah letting her down in this tournament is the catalyst to make her a heel, because I think that's the only way we get a semblance of the Raquel that got over in NXT.
If Sasha and Naomi are coming back like many believe that they are, you don't need babyface Raquel at that point. You would have Liv, you would have Sasha, you would have Naomi. Raquel would be your fourth babyface. Yeah, turn her heel. Let's go. Let's ramp that up. For those who are asking, this is a very curious case. Got three people in a row here asking where Lacey Evans is. Why is she off of TV? They mentioned she wasn't cleared for competition a couple of weeks ago, but now we start, getting reports that Triple H has never been really high on her, and there's not really any creative plans for her moving forward. And we've talked about this ad nauseum about how her, with the whole Sasha Naomi thing, completely botched her comeback from having a baby at this point. So I don't know what's going on with Lacey Evans. I don't know what to believe. I don't know if I'm to believe the reports, if she's actually injured. I have no earthly idea what's going on with Lacey Evans right now.
And I can understand if Triple H is not as high on Lacey Evans as Vince McMahon is, but Triple H used what's already there for you. This is the only character that they established in the past 6 months on the show. We know who Lacey Evans is because they were actually building that character before you got in control. So I would have kept it going, even if she is not medically cleared. She wasn't wrestling anyway, so keep doing promos and keep the character up. At least that's one character. And then if you want to establish baby faces, have them go against Lacey Evans. And if you're not huge on her, have Lacey Evans lose to these babyface characters, because maybe that will get them some cheers.
Yep. Ozzy saying, Rick, Cardinals 36, Bengals 23. Who gives a shit? It was the preseason. Donald saying, Toxic Attraction will cost Lions and start the tournament. I'm surprised Toxic Attraction wasn't used in this tournament, right? They didn't win the NXT Tag Team Championships, women's tag team titles in that Fatal 4-Way. They actually did the right thing and gave it to Katana and Caden after forever and a day of them not winning those damn championships after how many opportunities. So good on them to do that. I feel like Mandy's supposed to be defending this title against Zoe Stark, so it's weird that Zoe's in this, but Toxic Attraction isn't. I don't know what the plan might be for Toxic Attraction. I think they should come up sooner rather than later, but again, Mandy's got to drop that belt first thing.
I feel like they're waiting to bring them up as a trio. I think I think the end game of this whole tournament is probably to have, Bailey's group win the tournament, EO and Dakota, and then you have your John Cena CM Punk moment before
Correct.
SummerSlam 2011 with the rifle WWE Women's Tag Team Champions versus the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. You do the unified match at, say, Extreme Rules, and then after that, when it comes draft time, that's when you call up Toxic Attraction, and we get Toxic Attraction versus Sasha and Bailey. Sasha and Naomi. That would probably be something, and we would have a general direction for these women's tag team titles and a story that goes, a few months, and that's more than we've done with these titles in 3 years. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, 100%. The interesting thing is going to be when they actually do the finals, because unless it's going to be Dewdrop and Nikki ASH coming out of the left side of the bracket, which I don't think is going to be the case, we ain't getting these finals in Cardiff. So are we getting them?
No, you're getting it. You're getting, this is what they do a lot, and I this is coming from someone that watches 1996 WWF Raw. They did this with the Intercontinental title back in 1996. They had the Mind Games pay-per-view, and on TV they're doing the Intercontinental title tournament, and they did the finals on the Raw after that pay-per-view. This is what they do. That was also in September of 1996, and here we are 26 years later, and they're doing another tournament, and they're going to pay it off. The finals is going to be on the Raw after Clash at the Castle, and it follows up with what we were hearing from the Fightful Select report earlier today, that the WWE draft might be happening sooner rather than later, as soon as right after Clash at the Castle. So if that's happening, you got a couple of big things. Maybe we get the announcement on the Raw following Clash that the draft is like the following week, and then we can switch up these rosters.
It's desperately needed, and you need, especially if they're going to continue with the brand versus brand supremacy, which I hope they don't at Survivor Series. Like, honest, I got ideas how they can revamp Survivor Series, but doing the draft in October and then Survivor Series 3 weeks later and being the battle for brand supremacy has never made any sense, and it really just kind of kills anything going on with that pay-per-view. So let's move on here. We do get a little bit of Karrion Kross tonight. It was a pre-recorded promo, excuse me, as I almost fall out of my chair there. I thought this was a rock-solid promo. I love the story of him kind of being the exiled talent, coming back now to challenge the two chosen ones and take them out, in Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. I'll say this much about Karrion Kross, though, man. You either love him or you hate him. Like, I'm watching Twitter as this is going on, and I am seeing people saying either this is awesome, this is great, this is the way that Karrion Kross should have been presented when he was brought up in the first damn place, or I am seeing this guy sucks, get him off my TV screen. I'm of this guy's awesome, he's a star, future world champion. What am I missing from the this guy sucks crowd? Like, what am I seeing that they're not, or vice versa here?
I'm somewhere in the middle, where I did enjoy the promo, but I want the Karrion Kross that we got from his introduction in NXT to the Tommaso Ciampa first match. I want that Karrion Kross, and not the Karrion Kross that got too hokey with the spooky stuff, that he gets a fireball and a freaking contract to Keith Lee and all that goofy stuff. Like, people think he got goofy when he got called up to the main roster. No, they just went over the top with the mask and the BDSM outfit, but the goofy Karrion Kross that started to lose fans happened in NXT under Triple H's watch. So I think that's why I'm somewhere in the middle, where I'm just like, this is cool, but let's not get too hokey with it like we did last time, because that's when you're going to lose fans. So that's why I think he gets such a polarizing kind of reaction, because people fear we're going to get too hokey with this, and we're going to have to have someone like an Adam Cole kind of call him out for being all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Look, my hope is they just book him as kind of like a Mad Max, right? Just book him as a psychopath, like a guy who just lives off of carnage, but is also really freaking cool. Like that's just I thought tonight was perfect. I thought these first two SmackDown appearances for him, where he shows up, he kicks the crap out of McIntyre, he puts Reigns on notice, and then tonight he comes out and he tells a simple story where he's intimidating and he looks cool, he looks the part. I thought these first 2 weeks were absolutely perfect. I do agree with you on the hokiness. Let's keep the supernatural in the past and let's just move forward with what we've been doing so far.
I'll be honest, I know people are going to be like, okay, they didn't want him to attack McIntyre again because he looked too strong last week. Honestly, I would have rather him attack McIntyre and cause a DQ in the tag match that we got later in this show, because that pissed me off that we're still not. He values the mid-card titles more than the tag team titles, apparently terrorizing.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're gonna bounce around after all. So let's just put all the Drew and Uso stuff together here. So Drew comes out. I thought he cut a really really good promo. Calling out Roman for needing basically the cavalry every single time that he needed to beat Brock Lesnar, and he beat Brock Lesnar clean in 5 minutes by himself. Love that. Totally makes sense. Everything's great. Scarlett comes out and distracts Drew for the Usos to come in. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Kind of a weird thing there. But then we get a bunch of different interactions between the Usos and Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre beats up the Usos. Sami Zayn runs away to go get security. And then Zayn gets called out for being a chicken shit later. That sets up this tag team match that, for whatever reason, Madcap Moss comes down to help out Drew McIntyre. Let's not forget that these guys were rivals just 4 weeks ago, but okay, Madcap's a good guy now. Whatever. The Usos should not have lost this tag team match. They should not. Madcap Moss was right there to get pinned, and he should have been pinned. Otherwise, what's the point of putting him in this match? I know, babyface, you're kind of building him up. He's not doing anything right now. He's not the guy who's getting a tag team title or getting a world title shot. And he's also not one of your undisputed tag team champions who have been beating all of the tag teams. They should not be losing to Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss. You could have pinned Moss and still done the exact same after the match BS that you did with Drew standing tall and Sami Zayn taking the bullet for Jey Uso, which I did like, by the way.
I would have rather them just do Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre. Give me Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre. Next week, they're doing the face-off between Drew and Roman. The week after, they could have done Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. I'm sorry. When Roman was at his best is when they used Jey Uso as kind of like his meat shield to take all the falls for whoever they were building up to verse Roman. But once they started basically not valuing the Usos, and the fact that Drew McIntyre plus random ass partner, whether he's feuding with them or feuded with them before, is now 2-0 against the Usos without even thinking about an undisputed tag team title shot. This is why the Usos shouldn't have won at SummerSlam. Like I talked about last week, that it was a bad decision with the finish to Liv and Ronda. The more we get farther away from SummerSlam, the Usos going over the Street Profits seems like just as bad of a finish that Triple H chose to do as well.
Yeah, because I don't know what the end game is with the Usos now at this point. Because if you're going to have them lose to make Drew look strong ahead of his match with Roman, which, let's be honest, he's probably going to lose to Roman. So, okay, you're trying to make him look as strong as possible. I get it. But to the detriment of your undisputed tag team champions. And who's taking the belts off of the Usos right now? Because who's the top babyface tag team that's left that the Usos haven't defeated? It's technically Hit Row. It's technically Hit Row. Like, is Hit Row, have they been brought in to win the undisputed tag team titles? I don't think so. Not right off the bat anyway. They're a welcomed addition. They definitely add some depth to the tag team division that's needed. Could Los Lotharios be the guy? They look like maybe those guys are going to get a baby face push. Maybe, kind of, sort of. But
They lost to the Usos.
They did.
People
You're
don't
right.
remember that, but they lost to the Usos too. So at this point, you're right. It's Hit Row. Hit Row has been brought in. They brought in Karrion Kross to be positioned as the number 2 heel on this show and be in the main event scene. And they brought in Hit Row this week to be the babyface tag team to eventually beat the Usos. I'm convinced.
The look, my idea of Sammy and Kevin Owens, I think, got chucked out the window when KO literally murdered Ezekiel this week. I don't think we're going to see Ezekiel again, like ever again. I think Triple H may just say, hey, go grow your beard back out, kid, and we'll bring Elias back at some point down the road. I think, yeah, we might see Lacey Evans again before we see Ezekiel again at this point. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it might be Hit Row at this point. Again, I'm glad they're back. I think again, it's a nice, much needed addition. It does just feel a little bit weird with Swerve not there, right? It feels like there's a key piece, major piece of the group missing, but I still think they have a shot to be successful. I see people in the chat saying no Swerve, they're not interested in Hit Row. I still think they have a lot to offer, but I can understand the position. I'm just saying give them a shot here. But please, let's stop trying to insert other athletes into the group. I saw so many people on Twitter sitting here saying, call up Carmelo Hayes and put him in Hit Row. So much so that Carmelo Hayes, 15 minutes after Hit Row was back, was like, please stop putting me in this group. I'm not I'm not coming up to, like, no disrespect. Happy y'all are here, but take my name out your mouth. It ain't gonna be Carmelo Hayes. Then you got Top Dollar saying, hey, look, we ain't looking for any other black athletes to add into this group. Stop it. We're going to be just fine on our own. So Swerve is good. He's doing his own thing. I think Hit Row has the chance to be successful on their own as well.
Yeah. Swerve is doing great in AEW right now, and Swerve in Our Glory with Keith Lee. AEW.
Stop it, Steven. Stop it.
AEW World Tag Team Champions. I'm happy for, Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, Tony Miles, MB Fab, Brianna Brandy. I think they are very charismatic. They make a very charismatic trio. They were able to prove on the independent scene that this trio works on its own without Swerve, and they can be very useful for this tag team division. And this tag team division needed more babyface depth, because I don't want to see the Usos versus the New Day 400. I'm sorry. I know all their matches are good. I'm not saying they're not, but they've exhausted that feud. They've exhausted the Street Profits versus the Usos. There's no RK Bro around.
Yeah,
so they have ran out of the baby faces to verse the Usos. So sure, the Hit Row is not only great for the individual talent, but it comes at a great time for the tag team division in general. And they got a good reaction from the crowd tonight. Hopefully that can continue. They were put over very strongly by the commentary. I would say the commentary did a better job on this one night than they did the entire few weeks they were on the main roster last year. So continue that, and maybe in a month or so, Hit Row will be ready to dethrone the Usos, because I'm about over the Usos as tag team champions right now. So I'm here for Hit Row to get the win, and I'm very happy that they're here.
Joseph saying, man, they need to leave Carmelo and Trick alone. Dudes are money by themselves. If they wanted to bring Carmelo and Trick up separately on Raw as a babyface tag team and put them into the division that way, I would be totally fine with that. I like Trick. I like them together. I do think Carmelo is that dude, though. And I think if he comes up, they're not going to be a tag team. He's going to be a singles competitor. Trick may come with him, but they ain't going to be a tag team. John saying Riddle to join Hit Row. That would actually be pretty funny.
No, the best one that I heard is that the new member of Hit Row is going to have bars. T-bar. T-bar in Hit Row. Give me that money. That's money.
Oh, good God. Jesus. Ozzy asking, where is Queen Zelina? Or yes, Queen Zelina Vega. She has been hurt. Hopefully she is making her way back soon. She's been posting a lot of workout photos and things like that. So hopefully she'll be coming back. So let's talk about the women's division over on SmackDown. We had Ronda Rousey, a unscheduled appearance for the baddest woman on the planet. She comes through the crowd. She's got literally a sack full of money that she throws down on the contract signing table tonight. Says, I was fined a lot of money, whatever. I doubled it. I'm rich. I can handle it, bitch. And then she attacks another security guard. That sets up a nice little exchange there between her and Shayna. Shayna comes out. Shayna's like, you need to follow the rules. There are rules to this. And I'm like, aren't you the same one that literally bit Becky Lynch in the neck? But okay, let's forget about that for a second. Shayna's all about the rules now, which is probably why she, at least that maybe that's their explanation for why her booking has gone to hell since the pandemic hit. Ronda just says, you used to be a killer. And then we got a little bit of that killer tonight when she started going after Liv Morgan's injured arm tonight. I'm sorry. I know it's all about making the champ stand strong. There is no way in hell Liv should have got up after she got her arm stomped on. That used to debilitate and knock people out for weeks. And now Liv Morgan, whose arm is already hurt, gets stomped on, and yet she can do the stratisfaction through a table and then hold up her championship like nothing. That didn't make sense to me. Liv should have been out, debilitated. We should have had question marks. We shouldn't have seen her for 2 weeks after she got that stomp tonight.
That was another horrible job of this. Like I said, like last week, this was the finish to SummerSlam, coming back to haunt this SmackDown Women's division. I think that this whole segment was good. It was good. It was really good. Ronda Rousey came off like a badass babyface. Everybody thought that she was turning heel, but she's now more over than ever as a babyface, as seen from the reaction that she got. Her presentation, not smiling, coming out angry, coming out a little bit bitter over what happened at SummerSlam. The baddest bitch on the planet can just throw out money, and she got the money to give it away, attacking security guards. This is the most badass babyface that she's come off in a long time. The interaction with Shayna Baszler was great. Shayna came out, she cut a pretty good promo. Liv sounded confident on the mic, she sounded good, and then Shayna attacking the arm. All of that was great. Why the hell did we need Liv Morgan to stand tall here? We did not, and not in one of the worst looking stratisfactions that I've ever seen. It just didn't make any
far away.
Exactly. It didn't make any sense. Like, how are you doing that? It was basically Shayna putting herself through the table. Because Shayna was in control of this whole thing, and then all of a sudden she pushes Liv off the turnbuckle and then says, oh, let me fall over here into the table, and then falls down. It was just,
let me carry her 4 feet and then put myself through the table. Yeah, it was poor.
It was just like poor positioning, and it was just not needed. All we needed was Shayna to attack the arm and Liv look vulnerable one more week. If next week they want to Liv to stand tall, then that's cool. Not the week after Shayna Baszler got a cheap victory in the gauntlet match. No, WWE booking. They're never gonna let the heel go get the heat every single week up into the pay-per-view. They gotta balance it out by having the babyface stand tall 1 week. But this was not the week to do it. This was just poor. This was another poor choice with the Liv Morgan character as well as the SmackDown Women's division.
They had 3 weeks, right? They should have written Liv off for next week. Question the match, right? Whether or not she's going to be able to compete. Because here's the thing, like somebody put it up here, Steven, possible triple threat, Liv, Ronda, and Shayna. I think that's definitely a possibility for Cardiff, that Ronda's going to get added to this match. So, okay, you make the story next week. We don't know if Liv's going to be cleared to compete. So Ronda wants in. She wants Ronda versus Shayna to declare the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then you can have Liv come back the week after on the go home show and say, hell yeah, I'm here, let's go, triple threat match, set it up that way. I think that would have made a ton more sense. Like this was just weird. Like this was the same move, and somebody else brought it up in the chat, that made like Nia Jax, who was one of the strongest booked women in like WWE history, squeal like a stuck pig. And Liv Morgan gets stomped on, and now she's hitting stratisfaction, and I'm fine, and I'm holding up the title. No, the whole thing, it was really good. I agree with you. It was really good right up into the finish. That was definitely a weird thing to do. We got Kendo Kofi again tonight, attacking the Viking Raiders before what was supposed to be a match with Ivar. Kofi ends up getting laid out on the stage. I was kind of expecting Hit Row to maybe debut there and help Kofi out, but that didn't end up being the case. They just end up getting a match of their own tonight. So not a whole lot to write about there. But I will say this much, SP3. I wrote in big bold letters. I don't know if you can read that. Nope, you can't because my light's too bright. IC title vignette. They did the same thing that they did for the IC title that they did for the United States Championship on Raw, reminding folks how important this damn title used to be and how hopefully it will be moving forward. And then we get this big fight feel main event. I don't think it was a coincidence at all that Shinsuke Nakamura comes down in our main event tonight wearing black and gold. He goes up against Gunther. This was a very old school style match to me where it was just who can hit who harder. Is it Gunther with the fists? Is it Nakamura with the kicks? And it definitely was Gunther with the fists. I think that second slap that he freaking hit on Nakamura tonight, it was like Hulk in Avengers just getting shot out of his own body for a half second. I saw Nakamura's soul for a half second come out of his body on that second chop tonight. This was a really good match with some great false finishes. There was definitely some fire at the end. The finish just felt a little bit flat to me. I felt like they needed one more Nakamura hope spot, but I can't complain. This is the most important that this Intercontinental Championship has felt in quite some time. They brought up the fact that Nakamura was a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, which I guarantee people forgot about. Maybe not the second one because it was very recent, but you definitely forgot about the first reign that he had. This was really, really good tonight. This was the massive step forward that this Intercontinental Championship needed. And not only that, but they seem to be also setting up potential opponents afterwards because Ricochet, who seems to be getting some renewed confidence. I thought he looked, again, very comfortable on the microphone that we saw out of Ricochet tonight, which we haven't seen in years. And then him and Corbin, maybe they're battling over who's next for the IC Championship. It suddenly feels important again, and this was a great showcase for everybody involved, honestly.
Everything they did with the Intercontinental Championship tonight gets a big thumbs up. The video package, or reminding us of what they did with the US title on Monday Night Raw, all the different champions that they mentioned throughout the night, it builds up prestige for this title. If Roman's not going to be around all the time, the US and the Intercontinental Championship should matter, and that's what they've really devoted kind of these two shows to doing over this week and the last 2 weeks over on Monday Night Raw, and they did an excellent job of building up to this main event. They had the 2 promos from Shinsuke and Gunther. They had a video package showing how we got here. Just the devotion to bring in this matchup was just great, and the guys delivered. It was a really good main event. I'm not going to go as far as saying that epic match. That's a little too far. Like you said, if it would have went longer or hit like that next gear, I think they were hitting a nice little crescendo, and then the match just ended. But I think that if they run this back on a pay-per-view, it could be that type of like match of the year candidate, because these two guys really mesh well with each other. Gunther's got a style that Shinsuke is very accustomed to coming from Japan. Gunther would fit like a glove in Japan, and these two guys had a very good main event and a good way to kind of establish the Intercontinental Championship as something that matters under this new regime. Really enjoyed the match, and yes, it was the best match of these two shows of AEW and WWE tonight.
Yeah, and it was one that we needed because, after we had spent the last 2 weeks praising Triple H for the amount of wrestling that had been put in SmackDown and Raw under his watch, until this match happened, this was a step backward tonight. It was a lot of what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening in the ring, but not matches tonight. Like, we had our opening match. That was great. That was about 10 minutes. And then I don't think we got our next match. Like the Hit Row match didn't start till about the top of the hour. There was just a lot of stuff that was going on, a lot of story, which I'm cool with, right? I'm a story guy, but I also want to see good pacing on the matches. And I think we saw pacing issues tonight as well, because they said our main event is next at 9:25, and then it didn't start until 9:43. And I'm like, we could have used that extra 5 minutes. Just could have used that extra 5 minutes, because it definitely felt like the boys got the, all right, we need to go home signal, like just as it was really starting to get good. One thing before we move on that I skipped over that I do bear mentioning here. I don't know why I'm as excited as I am for Los Lotharios and Maximum Male Models possibly feuding with one another. I think it has everything to do with Angel Garza, because we've talked about ad nauseum, like these different people that should get their booking better or should get pushed better or better presented. Everybody from Pete Dunne to Dewdrop to Ciampa to T-Bar, right? And repackaged and renamed and reconfigured and everything like that. Put Angel Garza right up there, man. Like, if y'all don't know, this guy is a star. Like, he has got everything you want. This guy has more charisma than Vince McMahon knew what to do with. And just the fact that it looked like they're going to do something, not only with Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, but also with Maximum Male Models. Like, now we're actually going to get into wrestling with Triple M there. And they're already like laying the seeds between brother and sister. All of a sudden, like, I'm interested in where this is going to go. And the more screen time that Angel actually gets is going to be a good thing. So I think that was a very positive step moving forward for all of those people involved as well.
And I think this is one thing that me and Dutch has said from the very beginning with Maximum Male Models. Like I said, the first week was good and it was entertaining, but every week since then it's been like, what's the end goal? How are we going to progress this? And this was the first time that we got some actual progression. We know who they're going to feud with first, and if it's Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, I'm all here for it. I think they can have pretty good matches with the talent that's in there, and I like this little progression. That was another highlight of the show.
We got some breaking news. Frantic World turned it on to me here. Tony Khan tweeted it. Parker Boudreaux has officially signed with AEW. He has got the graphic. He is there. He got the win over Sonny Kiss tonight. We will talk about Mr. Parker coming up here in just a few moments. But let's transition now over to Rampage tonight. Not a lot to talk about on this show, headline-wise. Andy Wilson, yes, for those who are tuning in late, Dutch is sick this evening. Hopefully he will be back. We hope he gets better. So that is where Dutch is at. But don't worry, you still got me, and you got SP3 for a few more minutes here as we transition now into Rampage. The show started off hot. Started off really hot. And typically when I say that about a Rampage show, I'm talking about a match. We flipped it. We started with a match on SmackDown. We started with a promo on Rampage. It is typically the opposite that we see there. But Bryan Danielson in the ring talking about how somebody is going to have to physically remove him from the world of professional wrestling because he is never going to willingly walk away. Still puts over Daniel Garcia despite Garcia's threats to end his career. And then they end this brilliant promo exchange between the two of them with a fairly obvious tease of, could Daniel Garcia be leaving JAS to join the BCC? I loved all of this. I love Daniel Bryan saying the only thing that pisses me off more than somebody trying to end my career is this sports entertainment shit. Just because he has always been about pro wrestling. You got to love that about Bryan Danielson. I loved every bit of this opening segment between him and Daniel Garcia. That put Garcia over big time, even though at the end he kind of hung his head down there a little.
Yeah, because the words that Brian said got to him. Because Brian, that was a lot of real, and when you can name some real stuff in your promo, it makes everything else real. Even if everything else is a storyline, if you put one real thing, and that's him saying that he saw Daniel Garcia at an independent show in front of 250 people have a 60-minute matchup, and that was with Willie Yuta for the IWTV Championship, and they tore it up for 60 minutes. And that was when Bryan Danielson was like, hey, I want Wheeler Yuta and I want Daniel Garcia to be a part of this Blackpool Combat Club. I want to do stuff with them in AEW after he saw that matchup. So I like that he was able to say that. And it's so rare. It's something where, WWE, when they start off a show like SmackDown with a match, even though we said, the match had some good things and some bad things, overall, it felt like a breath of fresh air because it's something different, because they always start off with a promo, where AEW is the adverse of that. They always start off with a match. So starting off with a promo felt like a breath of fresh air. And seeing Bryan Danielson healthy after, the injury that kept him out of action after Double or Nothing, and, the match that he had a lot of people scared that he was really hurt again. It was nice to see him back, and he brought that passion in his promo. And he not only had the real when he was talking to Garcia, he had the real when he was talking in the ring alone, talking about he's going to need someone to physically take him away from wrestling, because I believed every word he said when he said that. And it scared me a little bit, being a huge fan of Bryan Danielson, that he is 100% serious when he says that. But love this promo exchange, and I'm really looking forward to this match. Best 2 out of 3 falls. Their last match was one of the best TV matches for AEW this year. I think this TV match might be even better than that, and we'll be talking about it as a match of the year candidate coming out of Wednesday.
Ricky saying that Daniel will end up in the BCC at some point. I don't know if it's going to come out of here, but you go ahead.
I would love if this is like the next version of this story, because you still see that we still getting Jericho Appreciation Society versus Blackpool Combat Club, and I think we're gonna get Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho at All Out, since we're getting this Garcia and Danielson on Wednesday. If they can do something like, if Bryan beats Jericho at All Out, Garcia can gets to join Blackpool Combat Club, or in Jericho says, if I win, someone from Blackpool Combat Club has to join JAS. I think that would be a cool stipulation.
Yeah. Like, you couldn't do like Moxley, right? Like, you couldn't say Moxley has to join the JAS. Although I think that would be hilarious if they did do that, and John's just like, you better not fucking lose. But maybe, or just do like a custody ladder match, right? Like, all right, let's do a ladder match. We'll do the Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Dominic ladder match, but instead of Dominic, it's gonna be for Daniel Garcia. I think there's a lot of fun things that you can do. Regardless, Bryan Danielson's about to have a really good month in the world of professional wrestling. This match with Daniel Garcia is going to be insane on Wednesday. So let's talk about Mr. Parker Boudreaux, who squashed Sonny Kiss tonight, and then in the main event, laid out Orange Cassidy after he defeated Ari Daivari, which is obviously, this is all building up for their trios match in the first round of that trios tournament. What are they called? Trustbusters. They really seem to be putting some energy behind Trustbusters here. I think it's just to make people care about this opening round matchup. I don't think that these guys have a chance in hell of winning over the Best Friends. Do they?
They better not, because this seemed like AEW had like 10 or 15 different trios, to the point that when I saw that graphic of the bracket and I saw the Trustbusters there, I'm like, you didn't have another trio to put in here besides the Trustbusters. And I had to spend this Friday night seeing them try to build up the Trustbusters. And I'm all for people getting jobs. Congratulations to Parker Boudreaux, but this is someone who is what I would like to call a long-term project. He is a project. He is not ready. He is very green. Sonny Kiss did his best to make him look as good as possible. Sunny Kiss is very talented, and I'm glad she is back on TV. I'm even interested in her, turning heel at the end of the night. I thought that was very interesting, and it's something that started off on AEW Dark that they paid off on their actual television. God bless to that. It gives people a reason to watch AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, so I'm all here for that. But yeah, Parker Boudreaux is a project from what I've seen on the show.
Yeah, so a couple of things I definitely want to pull up. Steven says book Wardlow versus Parker. No, not for at least 2 years, because Wardlow would murder that man. And here's one thing, and no disrespect, I don't mean this like as a bad thing, right? Like, I don't want you to think that I'm making fun of you for bringing up this, because Steve, a lot of people have said this. Parker is the next Brock Lesnar, but AEW's version of it now. Let's stop that, because that is a very unfair comparison. Brock Lesnar came in after going through OVW and was ready for the main event scene. Like, total freak, absolute freak of nature, muscle coming out everywhere. This guy could do everything, right? He was ready. Parker is not. Parker has got a lot of work to do. The first things first, the man's got to get his feet underneath him, because it doesn't seem like he knows how many steps or the distance that he needs to take to get to the corner, right? Or to get to the ropes, which is a hard thing. All right. Like, I've done this in my training. If I'm in a 14-foot ring, it takes me about 3.25 steps to get to the ropes. So that is difficult for me to find a flow. He needs more reps. He needs to get his flow. I'll say this much. AEW is presenting him the right way. This is what WWE should have done with him in NXT from the get-go. But he definitely has a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's really unfair to say that he's going to be the next Brock Lesnar just because he kind of looks like him, right? He kind of looks like him. The similarities stop there. So please, for this kid's sake, let's stop calling him the next Brock Lesnar. Please, let's stop doing it.
Yeah, he's not the next Brock Lesnar. He's dollar value Brock Lesnar. We can call him that for now, but yeah, he ain't the next Brock
Mom,
Lesnar.
can we get Brock Lesnar? We got Brock Lesnar at home. That is exactly.
Yep. I can make you Brock Lesnar. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Yeah, no. I'll make you McDonald's at home. We got that. No problems there. We did have a pretty entertaining mixed tag team title match tonight. The AAA mixed titles. Sammy and Ty Mello. All right, that's new. Got to get that worked into the rotation now. This was all right, but I thought the ending was absolute fire, with Tay hitting the tornado DDT on Dante Martin. Then Sky Blue hitting the Hurricane Rana on Sammy, and she walks right into a super kick and a Thai KO. I thought that was a very well thought out, well timed finish that, again, I think is going to make me think that that match was better than what it actually was, because you always remember the finish more importantly than anything. And I thought they nailed it.
Yeah, I think I said it right on Twitter. It was a decent match with a hot finish. The finish, the last like 2 minutes was really, really good. The rest of the match was,
and then the new hotness.
yeah. The rest of the match was fine. It was fine for what it was. But when Dante Martin got going, when Sky Blue actually got involved into the matchup, it got really good. So I did enjoy that, and this was the best match on this show, I would say, between this and the main event.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think Orange Cassidy tends to make a lot of the main events that he was in. The opening part there in that main event, by the way, where he's just rolling away in every different direction, was hilarious. Seriously, I don't get, much like the people who don't like Karrion Kross, I don't understand the people who don't like Orange Cassidy. SP3, not only are you a wrestling Dutch Mantell approved wrestling historian, you know everything about the world of professional wrestling, you also are the reality TV expert and the resident expert on Smack Talk here. So who the fuck is Zach Clayton, and why should I give a hell that he is wrestling Hook for the FTW championship?
Okay, so let me explain this. We only got a few minutes for me to explain this. So Zach Clayton, for anyone who is a big fan of Jersey Shore or was a fan of Jersey Shore, Jersey
I was
Shore
gonna say, is
had
that still a
about
thing?
had 6 seasons from 2009 to 2012. I believe it only went 3 years, but they had 6 seasons. Yeah, and they had their whole core group. So then in 2019, they decided to bring it back because it was a wildly popular show, probably arguably behind The Real World and The Challenge is one of the most popular shows in MTV history. And they had their family vacation. So JWoww was married to some dude named Roger, who she had kids with, but they had a bad breakup, and she started dating this guy that they called 24, and he eventually got his real name, which is Zach Clayton. And they, had their relationship throughout these past, now they're on 6 seasons of family vacation, and now they're getting engaged. They're engaged now, Zach Clayton and JWoww. So he's now the stepfather of our kids. They're getting married. So he's a reality television star. So you know what that means? Hook is gonna be on Jersey Shore family vacation. It all comes together. Hook is gonna be an MTV superstar. You had The Situation, you had Puck, and now you got Hook.
Yeah. So wait, what happened to Situation? Didn't he go to jail?
Yeah, and then he came out, he cleaned up his whole life. He became the inspiration. And yeah, The Situation is actually a good dude now when he's not being the old Situation and the instigation and stirring the pot. He's a good dude. So, and he was actually at an AEW show. So I'm hoping the cast is in the crowd for Zach Clayton's big match next week on Rampage against Hook. I can't wait to see Hook on Jersey Shore. Family Vacation is one of the rare shows me and my missus watch together, and I can't wait to tell her that that's Taz's kid, Hook, the racially ambiguous god.
So in my shoot job, right, I work at a radio station. I'm sure a lot of you know that. I've talked about it before. Lot of reality TV nuts in the newsroom. The faces that I was making while you were talking about all those reality whatever things that were going on, I'm pretty sure those are the exact same faces that my coworkers make when I talk about professional wrestling. So now the shoe is, I see what I look like now, at least. So we got all that going on there. So okay, that's why I should
Reality
care about that.
television all day. Reality television, 90 Day Fiance. Give me Big Ed in AEW.
I
Give
can't
me
hate
Big Ed in AEW. I'm here for it.
I can't hate on reality TV because I watch professional wrestling, which is just as scripted as reality TV is. So, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. Like what you like, and screw off to anybody who gives you shit
Can't
for it.
wait to see Hook go GTL. Jim Tannen Laundry. Jim Tan Laundry. He's from New York. Embrace the GTL.
Okay, last thing that we need to talk about here before we wrap up. Gun Club defeats Beardhausen tonight. I thought they might give Eric Redbeard a win here, but no, Danhausen gets beat again because this looks like what it's going to be Danhausen's role, right? He's going to be a comedy character. He's going to lose a lot of matches. Occasionally he'll win something, but I don't ever see him really getting a push because why would TK push him? Because he's over as hell, and he's going to get massive pops no matter what they do with him because he's funny. So this was actually all about the Gun Club. Ass Boys get the win over the guy who started the Ass Boy. Actually, it was Peter Avalon who started the Ass Boys thing, but Danhausen took it to the next level. Billy, though, berates his sons because he had to help them win this match. And then once again, we get Stokely trying to hand the business card off to the Gun Club. Stokely's handing out a lot of business cards here lately, SP3. The one to oh my God, I can see his face. Ethan Page. The one to him really, really intrigued me. What do you think is the end game here with Stokely? Because he is handing out business cards left and right here to AEW talent.
Stokely is trying to assemble a squad so he can go after all the titles. If he gets the Gun Club, that can get him the AEW World Tag Team titles, the ROH World Tag Team titles. If he gets Ethan Page, maybe Ethan Page can go after the ROH World Championship or the TNT title again. Lee Moriarty can go after the ROH Pure Championship or the TV title. He just is collecting a squad. He's already got the TBS champion. The baddie, interim baddie situation didn't work out well for him. So now he's trying to assemble a real squad. I'm here for Stokely, the recruiter.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Can we get Snooki? Can we get Snooki a business card? Is Snooki going to be on AEW next week?
Give me Snooki, give me Paulie D, and give me Situation in the crowd next week at AEW in Charleston, West Virginia. We're going to get the cast of Jersey Shore and a Kenny Omega return on next week AEW television. I'm all here for it.
Where is AEW next week?
Charleston, West Virginia.
They're wasting Kenny Omega's return in West Virginia? Jesus. All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for everybody who tuned in. Again, we appreciate everybody who stayed with us, even though Dutch wasn't here tonight. That means a lot to us. Dutch will hopefully be back better than ever, healthy next week. All three of us, the trio, will ride again. Maybe we'll enter that trios tournament. Maybe we'll take out Trustbusters, and maybe we'll enter it. Dutch will have to do most of the heavy lifting. I'm sure that'll work out really, really well. We appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week. This has been Smack Talk on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.